Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, Chapter 6, Text 145 and 146. Bhagavan bahu haite yabe kailaman, prakrutta shakti te tabe kaila vilokan, se kale nahi janme aprakrita manonayan, atayeva prakrita brahmera netraman. So, Bhagavan bahu haite. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in various ways explaining how the personality of Godhead is transcendental. And here he gives an insightful logic based on a standard Upanishadic motif. So it is Saha Ikshitaha, Sa Kamyata, Sa Uspurjita, Sa Ikshitaha. That it is said in the Upanishad that absolute truth glanced upon material nature. When that absolute truth desired to become many, he glanced at material nature. And then afterwards, by that glance, all living beings with their forms, with their bodily forms, became manifested. So now, in the sequence of creation, it's understood that forms are manifested, material forms are manifested after the creation unfolds. So now, if that is the case, and this is the case with material forms. So now if forms are manifested after the forms and senses and mind and senses basically, which are the attributes of form, they are manifested by form, I mean a body over here, which indicates personality in a broad sense. So, if the form, if the eyes and the mind are manifested, of all eyes and minds of various living beings are manifested after the creation unfolds, then what was the nature of the mind and eyes that started the process of creation? It stated that before the creation started unfolding, at that time, there was the absolute truth Brahma, who had eyes with which he glanced, and he had a mind with which he desired to become many. So now this was at a time before all material eyes and mind were manifested, and therefore this indicates that the eyes and mind that were present at that time were not material, they were transcendental. So that means in the transcendental realm, also senses are present, eyes are present, and mind is present, and there is desiring to do. So the impersonal idea is that the senses and the form of which the senses are part, and the personality comprising of desires and desires, all these are products of material nature, and that's all there is to it. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by inferring logically from this Upanishadic passage, establishes that it's impossible to completely dismiss all forms as material, all senses material, because there is evidence such as this in the scriptures which says that there were form which is present before the material became activated. So that means before material forms became activated, if something was present, that means that must have been transcendental. So that means in the transcendental realm there are eyes and there is the desire. Now desiring is done through the mind. Therefore, atayeva aprakruta brahmera netrama. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, therefore, we can conclude that Brahmera, that for the Brahman, for the absolute truth, the Netraman, the eyes and the the eyes and the mind are transcendental. They are not material. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes on with further reasoning. Brahma Shabde Kahe Purna Swayam Bhagwan Krishna Shastrera Praman. Brahma Shabde Kahe Purna Swayam Bhagwan. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that the word Brahma refers not just to some all-pervading effulgence, it refers to Swayam Bhagwan, it refers to the personality of Godhead. And Swayam Bhagwan Krishna Shastrera Praman. And that's what Bhagwan is Krishna. So this is Shastrera Praman. So what is the Praman of Shastra? So there are two equalities made over here. Brahma is equal to Bhagwan and Bhagwan is equal to Krishna. So therefore Brahma is equal to Krishna. This is the reasoning that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. Now of course, the argument, the discussion between them becomes quite technical, and here some broad outlines is what are being represented by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to us. So Prabhupada now quotes various sections from the scripture, from various places to talk about how the Brahma is ultimately Krishna. Vedera Nigudartha Bujaha Nahai Purana Vakya se Artha Karaya Nishchay. Now somebody may say, this is quite a huge leap in inference. How can somebody say that Brahma is Bhagwan and Bhagwan is Krishna? So equal Brahma to Krishna. Where is this explicit equalization done in the Vedas? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now says that actually the Vedas are very difficult to understand. Vedera Niguda Artha Bujahan Nahave. They are very complicated, their import is very confidential, and therefore it's very difficult to understand them. And Purana Vakya se Artha Karaya Nishchay. Purana Vakya se Artha. Therefore, it is from the Puranas that we can know what is the actual import of the Vedas. So even if somebody wants to know what is the actual import of the Vedas, the way to know it is, one cannot know it just by studying the Vedas. One has to look at the Puranas, take the assistance of the Puranas, because the Puranas give the same message but in a more accessible form, in a clearer form, in a more easily comprehensible form. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, famous words, Aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajaukasam yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam. So this verse says, Aho bhagyam. How fortunate is it indeed that Nanda Gopa Vrajaukasam. Vrajaukasam means that for the Vrajavasis and Nanda and other Gopas. Yan Mitram Paramanandam. So for them, that they had as a close friend that supreme being who is the source of supreme happiness. And then who is the supreme being? The important point is, the verse was thrust in the context of the Bhagavatam is that how fortunate the Vrajavasis are. But from the point of view of the analysis which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing here, the emphatic point is that in this verse, Krishna is identified as Purnam Brahma Sanatanam, that he is the Purnam Brahma. He is the full Brahman manifestation, and he is Sanatana. Not that as the Mayavadis think that, that Brahma temporarily manifests as some form, and then when the lila of that form ends, then that form becomes unmanifested. So this verse doesn't support that kind of interpretation, because it says clearly Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. Purnam Brahma, that this is the complete absolute truth, and he is the all attractive supreme person, and he is himself the Brahman. So in this way, by understanding who the Brahman actually is, we can transcend material existence. We can go beyond the bondage that characterizes material existence. So thus, actually, the point of this verse is, of these references in this analysis, is to establish that Actually, Krishna is the absolute truth. Krishna is the Purna Brahma. We'll continue this discussion in our next future talks. Thank you.